Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the fifth episode of the Flock Podcast. I'm your host, Amadeo Gracia, along with my partner, Chris Mayer.
What's up, guys? How's everyone doing?
And Chris, Flyers hockey, the regular season is finally back. And how excited are you?
I'm very excited. Been waiting for this day for a long time.
It's a very long time indeed. It feels like forever since the regular season has been here for the Flyers, even though preseason literally just ended like a week ago. Regular season hockey is what matters. That game in Switzerland, that didn't happen. That game didn't count. They played on Olympic ice. It didn't matter. Just throw it away. Just throw it away.
It's in the
Just,
can.
it's in the can. Don't worry about it. The Flyers don't suck. And we played our first game today in the Czech Republic against the Chicago Blackhawks. We end up winning this game by a score of 4-3. And my biggest takeaway from this game, the team, Alain Vigneault's new style of play, this upbeat style tempo, really showcased in the Flyers' style of play in this game. And like as Flyers fans for the past few years, we've been used to freaking Dave Haxtell's dump system of dump and chase, lack of back check, and this game showed a different little bit of pace right here, and it's something very exciting to see. And you also have Travis Konecny lighting up the lamp 2 times. The guys on the fourth line, Michael Raffl, Bunnaman, Tyler Pitlick looking really good. Really, all four lines for the Flyers looked really good in this game. Carter Hart as well looked very sharp at net, even though he did allow a goal that he would probably want back. But I digress. This game was a very good one to watch. And Chris, what are your major takeaways from this game?
I basically agree with everything you said. I think Lindblom, Couturier, Konechny, the second line. I thought they stood out as well. Another thing that I did like about Alain Vigneault was that the way he added depth into the lineup, putting Van Riemsdyk on that third line, keeping Lindblom on the second line, which is where Lindblom played the majority of the season last year, played really good on that line with Voracek. And I also like Hayes on the first line as well. I feel like that can maybe add some more depth. But then again, while you have Couturier at the second line center. But for the game itself, as you said, I thought the Flyers played really good. They were able to move the puck out of their zone well. Penalty kill looked good besides the one goal that they gave up to the Brinket. Hart played well. He had a lot of strong saves. I thought the whole team in general was just really solid today. I think they had the crowd and the whole atmosphere was crazy with the "Let's Go Flyers" chants followed by the Blackhawks chants, and then there were just a lot of people there that's just there to watch hockey in general. So I thought that really did help the Flyers. And another thing I want to mention is that this is like the way that Alain Vigneault was in this game is kind of what we saw in training camp. The way the players were playing today, the way Alain Vigneault, how loud he was during camp. I mean, you could hear him on the TV, like screaming and like that kind of like high voice when he kind of screams. I was able to hear that real well, which is a really good thing that you want to hear with a coach. Shows that he's involved, shows that he understands, what the players are doing, how they play, things like that. So I thought the Flyers in general, I thought they played great today, and I was happy that they came out with the win.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with all the points that you stated as well. I love the way Alain Vigneault has brought his new message to this team, and I think even though the few games of preseason they looked really sluggish, they looked, I would say, like not used to hit what the system is supposed to be for Alain Vigneault. But this first game is a sign of the team finally adjusting to what his message is, and hopefully that brings something to look forward to in future games going down the rest of the season. But it's just, with this Czech Republic game, we all know it was probably a major pain for people back on the East Coast to watch this game because I would assume Czech Republic time it was around like what 7-8 o'clock at night, and
Yeah, it was an
around
8 o'clock game.
yeah, and around here in Philadelphia it was 2 p.m. and I am stuck at school at Temple
Yeah,
trying to freaking waiting for my class to end at 1:50, staying on campus to go on my computer, get lunch, turn on the NBC Sports Philadelphia live stream, and basically just sit there the entire time watching the game instead of being at home when I
yeah,
couldn't go home.
Yeah, I didn't get home till around 3 o'clock. The way I get I get SEPTA on the way home, so I don't get out of school till 2:40. I probably get down to the bus stop at like 3, maybe like 10, 15 minutes. It takes me to walk, and then the first bus was completely crammed. Had to wait like another 10 minutes. I didn't get home till like 3:15, maybe like 3:20. So I got home actually right when they got that power play in like the second period. It
Yeah.
was maybe like 5, 6 minutes gone in the second period. I think it was when Sanheim got tripped up, and then I turned it on and Sanheim got tripped, and I was like, oh yes, we got a power play. Followed by the Lindblom goal, that was such a weird goal.
It was.
It went off the guy, and it was funny. The way they pronounce his name is Cuckoo.
Yeah, I think that's one of the players' names, Cuckoo for Chicago.
Yeah, that was so weird. I don't even know where. I think it went off like his chest because I
I
thought at first it went off his head.
I think the way the play went out, and we'll go into this more in depth later,
Hmm.
but I think the play went out, it hit the post, then it went off of either his stick or a body part. That's from what I saw. Because when I
Yeah.
was watching this game, I was in a meeting during this point, and I was like sitting sideways with like the slide of my face like inching towards my laptop trying to watch the game. And
Hmm.
like I wasn't able to see the play fully. The only thing I saw was a shot go off and then the puck end up in the net for Lindblom. I was like, oh, the Flyers scored. I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wasn't really fully able to tell, but when I saw in the replay, it did look like it hit post and whatever
Yeah.
body part off Cuckoo.
Yeah. Because
So
at first I thought I thought the first shot went in. I thought that went top corner, and then someone like a Black Hawk. I thought the guy Cuckoo. I thought he just like hit it back into that like he was mad. And then I realized that like it went off of him and he was trying to get it out. And I was like, because at first I was like he hit the post. I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh wait, yeah. Like I didn't even realize that he scored. And then on the replay they had Lindblom in slow motion. He's like all smiling. It was so funny.
yeah, yeah, just very fun all around. That was just a very, very fluky goal, but
Hmm.
Lindblom, like both of us said, had a really good game in this game. So let's start with the first period. We got all the opening ceremonies, the national anthem, the Czech Republic national anthem. You get to see Gritty there a little bit, getting the Flyers fans riled up. You got the Blackhawks mascot. I forget his name. What is the Blackhawks mascot's name anyway?
Tomahawk.
Tomahawk. Is it Tomahawk or Tomhawk?
It's Tomahawk.
Tomahawk.
It's
Yeah, get it.
Tomahawk.
I don't care. Gritty's better. So
Gritty's the
yeah,
best mascot in the league.
yeah, Gritty's the best mascot in the league. So both mascots trying to get their fans going, and I would say like the beginning of the game was like very sloppy, a little bit sloppy on both sides. It was two teams playing their first regular season game in the Czech Republic, and I guess the jitters of the regular season was getting to them a little bit. So
Yeah.
like a little bit of sloppy play here and there. The Flyers iced the puck a lot in this first period, but around I would say the six around like 6 minutes into this game, Travis Konechny steals the puck off of one of the Chicago defenders, brings it up the left side, it snipes it past Corey Crawford's glove to make it a 1-0 lead. And just it's funnier enough because Konechny was the guy that held out for a couple days. He's the one that gets the first goal of the Flyers season, which is and Konechny I was just a man on a mission today. He looked fantastic.
He played good with his line mates. And he did a lot of. I feel like he was very good in the defensive end today too. It wasn't like how Konechny was when he would just get the puck and throw it into a random area. I feel like he was able to take his time today, looked up, made the play, and then executed it well. He did that on the second goal he scored as well.
Yeah.
He looked up, Lawton had it, sent it to him, took in. He made the right play on Keith. So I thought Connected played really well today. As I said, that line was very good.
I agree with you 100%. But going later into the first period, it was around a minute later after the Flyers scored the first goal. In typical Flyers fashion, they can't hold the lead for around a minute. And it's Alexander Nylander, former Buffalo Sabre, getting the first goal as he turns the puck over from Ivan Provorov, who was, I would say, I guess, trying to make a pass in the neutral zone. It goes right onto the stick of Nylander, brings it up the blue line, uses Justin Braun as a screen for Carter Hart, and snipes it by him to tie the game at 1. I w- if this were me, I would want Justin Braun to pinch a little bit on Nylander, not give him as much room, and
Yeah.
also the on a Carter Hart standpoint, you got to make the save there. Even though,
Yeah,
like, I
that
guess you
was
can make
definitely one he should have had.
you can make the argument he was probably screened, but that's also something you can stop.
Yeah, and then again, I feel like Braun didn't realize that Nylander was coming in because, as you said, Provorov was trying to get a piss through the neutral zone. So I guess he didn't realize it at first. And I think if you look at it, before Nylander drags it back, Braun's kind of closing in on him, and then he realizes that he's shooting, so he kind of pulls back a little bit. Which, I mean, listen, it wasn't like it could have been defended better. It definitely could have been saved, but I was just happy that they were able to get out of that period tied
I
because
agree.
it was pretty close.
Yeah, I agree. Carter Hart coming down to the wire, making some nice saves. Corey Crawford on the other side of the ice, making some saves, keeping Chicago in this game. And Corey Crawford honestly was the main reason Chicago was in this game to begin with.
Oh,
He
that
was
whole
make
second period was down in Chicago's end.
Yeah, he was making a lot of big saves. It honestly could have been like 5-1 at any given moment, but Corey Crawford was keeping these guys in the game. And I
Hmm.
also want to go back to Alexander Nylander. Him in his time in Buffalo just never really got that chance to crack the lineup, and now it's good to see him getting that shot with the Chicago Blackhawks. I feel like they have a better arrangement of guys to maybe help him learn the game in the NHL level, mature his game. I would say you got guys like Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, two elite players in this league, and both who have won 3 Stanley Cups.
Hmm.
You can't think of anyone else better to mentor a young player, and
Yeah.
it's good to see a guy like Alexander Nylander, a high overall pick from Buffalo, that didn't really work out there to finally get his chance with another team. So it's good to see that there.
It's just
So
like Dylan Strome.
yeah, exactly.
He
Dylan
went from being the number three pick in the McDavid draft, didn't really do much with Arizona. Or was that Phoenix at the time, or was that Arizona?
Either I think it was Arizona at the time, but it's
Okay.
either I think.
Um, but anyway, he didn't really get the chance with Arizona. I think they sent him. Didn't they send him down another year to play in juniors?
Yes, they did.
Because
I think it.
yeah, he didn't make the team out of camp.
Yeah, this is just another case of a change of scenery was needed for the
Hmm.
player
And
to.
he really sparked with Chicago.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Nylander, Strome. It was just a case of the player needed a change of scenery, and it's
Hmm.
working out for them. Hopefully,
Yeah,
this works out for Nylander in the future because he was a highly talented prospect before, and it just didn't work out in Buffalo.
yeah.
So, so going into the second period, like we said, Corey Crawford's basically keeping Chicago in this game. It's the pucks in the Chicago zone majority of this period. Flyers getting a ton of shots, and the Flyers did outshoot Chicago for the first 2 periods. The first period they outshoot them 13-11. In the second period they outshoot them 15-7. That basically describes the entire period. The Flyers getting the majority of the chances, and I would say around the 4 minute mark of this period, Sanheim draws a trip to Duncan Keith, which gives the Flyers a 2 minute power play. And this is when we were talking about the very fluky goal from Oscar Lindblom on the second unit. The first unit really can't get anything going. They get some nice plays. JVR tries his usual moves, the little backhander that he does in front of the net. Doesn't really work out there for him. We bring out the second unit, and Oscar Lindblom gets that very fluky goal to make it a 2-1 Flyers lead. And just going through the rest of the period, it's basically dominated by the Flyers throughout the whole thing. Corey Crawford keeping the Blackhawks in the damn game. And then going towards around 2 minutes left in the second period, well, actually before this, the Flyers draw a power play, but then they take another penalty off of a shorthanded chance by Jonathan Taves. It's Claude Giroux getting a hook right there, and it's a 4-on-4. So we got Scott Lawton making a nice pass up to Travis Konechny, and this goal by Travis Konechny, by God, this is absolutely beautiful. He brings it up the left side of the ice, toe drags it by Duncan Keith, brings it to the backhand, and backhands it and buries it above Corey Crawford's glove to make it a 3-1 Flyers lead for his
Ew,
second of the night. And
ew.
I, the words you take right out of my mouth, Chris. Ew.
That goal
Disgusting.
was gorgeous. He didn't even give Crawford enough time to move his hand up. And look, if you notice, some guys that will do that move, right-handed players coming speedy off the wing, trying to catch the defenseman off guard as they transition through the zone. He skates in, and they kind of take it to the net, kind of just like that one goal Giroux had last year against Tampa when he lifted McDonough's stick. Kind of does the same thing where he skates in. I mean, obviously not many players are going to lift their stick like that, but you understand what I mean, where he comes in, kind of holds it on the backhand, either gets poke checks or runs into the net. Now, Konechny does it well. He's able to get the shot off. He gets it up high, and he gets it in the perfect spot where Crawford is not really able to. Crawford probably didn't even see that. He probably just kind of glimpsed it and tried to fling his arm up and try to hit it. Konechny did that perfectly. It was gorgeous.
It was a highlight reel goal for sure, and maybe an early look into maybe one of the best goals of the season. But
Oh,
we all know that there's definitely going to be a lot better looking goals than that. But a
well,
definite
there
beauty out
were
of for Travis
many.
Konechny right there.
There was a lot of goals and saves that I could already put up there. That Devin Dubnyk save.
Oh yeah, Devin Dubnyk, jeez, that
Oh,
was amazing.
that was 2 years in a row when he had that. Remember when he had that one last year against Detroit?
Yep.
Kind of like how Brian Boucher did against the Devils. That was
Hmm.
beautiful. And then Blake Coleman tonight, that one-hander,
Oh boy.
that was gorgeous.
I would also want to say that's gorgeous, but then that's also the freaking play from the Winnipeg goaltender. To why are you letting that in?
I know. I don't. It was. Then
It wasn't
again,
Hellebuck. It
it
was.
wasn't.
I don't think it was Hellebuck in net for Winnipeg tonight. I'm not too sure on that, but I don't remember seeing Hellebuck in the net.
Hmm.
But as Chris figures out if that's Hellebuck or not, we're going to the tail end of the second period, right after the Konechny goal. Chicago get the power play right after the 4-on-4. The Flyers look like they're a little late pinching into the zone to get back into the setup for the penalty kill. It's a really nice passing play by Eric Gustafson and Patrick Kane to get it to Alex DeBrincat, who buries it by Carter Hart to make it a 3-2 Flyers lead after two. And you really don't want to see a goal that late into a period with around like what 15, 13 seconds left.
Yeah, it was like 12.2, I think.
Yeah, it's just like when you score a goal at the end of the second period and then you let the other team score directly right after you. The 5 minutes left in the period, or the 5 minutes in the beginning of the period and the 5 minutes at the tail end of the period, are the most important things to either
Hmm.
keep the lead and prevent the other team from scoring.
Yeah, that goal hurt.
Yeah, and I
They
think
had a lot of momentum going through that too, and then they scored that.
it
I was like, oh man.
Yeah, and I think the momentum for Chicago carried into that third period because the Flyers looked like a little bit in the third period. They were maybe on their heels, but they were battling still.
Yeah.
Under a Dave Haxtell system, you would probably see the Chicago, the way they were playing in that third period, probably score at least like 2 or 3 goals.
Right.
But the Flyers defense, they settled down, they battled, they've won the battles like Alain Vigneault expressed rationally. He wanted the Flyers to win the puck battles on the boards, and the Flyers did that very well today. And we get some sight from that from Michael Raffle, who had a really good game for the four flying today. He gets the pass from Pitlick and Robert Haig, out of all people, and then he brings it around the net and wraps it around past Corey Crawford. I think it go does it go off of Corey Crawford's pad or something like that? Because I feel
I think it went off the Blackhawks defenseman. I don't know who was on the ice, but I think it ricocheted off him and then went off his pad and went in.
because I think this goal kind of like stumbled Crawford a little bit. I think he really didn't
Mhm.
expect it, and
Yeah.
it's kind of weird too because you we really don't see a wraparound goals that much anymore in the NHL. It's just like
Yeah, because the goalies are so big, they're able to stretch. And their
yeah,
pads are so big too, and like the way they move post to post nowadays, it's impossible to score it. I mean, at least, I mean, the only way it really happens is if you have the angle of it. If you're able to maybe get it under the pad or 5-hole, because really not many players shoot on breakaways anymore either. They try to go, back in 5-hole or just go in and make a move, and not many guys just get the quick shot off anymore. It's kind of leaning towards more of trying to get around them or tuck it 5-hole. Which another thing is like you notice there's so many goalies now. They have such big like their pads. They're huge, and they cover
yeah.
so much of the bottom part of the net.
Yeah, I think that was like also another thing because didn't the NHL try to make the goaltenders last season like wear smaller pads or something like that?
Yeah, there was something like that. They were trying to make they were trying to have like a regulation size pad.
Yeah, because I think the NHL was trying to get more offense into the
Yeah.
league. I
hmm
think because they wanted to bring offense back, and it did work out for them. But
Yeah.
it
That's
was. Hey, continue. You can continue.
so that's like that's like putting Ben Bishop in like Darren Pang's pads.
Oh
Like
God.
he's like 6'5" and Darren Pang's like 5'9". That's like not even covering his knees.
It's like imagining Ben Bishop playing in pads that were worn in like what the 60s or the 70s.
Oh my God. Like put Ben Bishop in Bernie Bronze pads.
And
That's
imagine
insane.
and just like imagine the goalie stances that were like back then in the 70s and the 60s. Like there was like
Yeah.
no butterfly stance at all. It was like all
If
straight standing up
and
goaltending.
it's
Just
crazy
imagine that.
too. Because like if they played butterfly in the 70s, not many players could elevate the puck. There would be no goal whatsoever. None.
Yeah,
A
no goal.
majority of Gretzky's goals were literally him skating in on the blue line, taking a slap shot, and it would just go 5-hole. And every goalie would make the same save every time. They try to deflect it to the corner, and then they'd throw their hand up. They do it all the time. Like it was the weirdest. Like if you ever look up like old highlights, they take a shot and it just goes in, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, and then they like try to fall on their skates.
And it's funny too, like going back to this Raffle goal, I think he had another chance with a wraparound. I think it was in the second period or the first period where he tried the wraparound and he missed it because the puck deflected somewhere else. But it was nice that he tried it again and it succeeded this time. So good thing for Raffle and just that fourth line overall with him, Pitlick, and Bunneman looked really good.
Yeah,
It's
they
like
did.
and like players like Bunneman and Carson Twarynski, both of them playing their first NHL games. Both of them looked really good. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, both of them looked.
How about Torinsky getting his parents over there with that little surprise? That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a nice little surprise right there. It's funny too because I think before the Flyers went overseas, he got a new haircut and I think he shaved his head, didn't he?
Yeah,
There
he's
was
like bald now.
Yeah, there was like a little picture with him and his dad. Like he made his dad lift his head up so they could both show their bald heads to the camera. It was a
Yeah.
little nice little family moment right there for Carson Twarynski and his parents.
Yeah.
It's nice little hockey stories, right? And it's also too for Jake Voracek. This was a big homecoming for him. What did he have
Oh
like
yeah.
70 plus family that he bought tickets for this game?
It was funny. They talked about it during the game. I think they said something where he sold like 93 pairs of tickets because he wears number 93.
Oh God,
And I think he might have had like 93 family members and friends there as well.
oh
Or
God,
it was something like that. I don't remember if it was
playing.
I know I know it was the tickets, but I don't know if it was family members or something like that. But they were showing the clips of that little girl they had on the bench. He was talking to
Yeah,
her. Then there was a bunch of people in the stands that were there like 40 minutes before the even practice started. They were waiting for Voracek and the other players to come out. That was just really cool to see. And he also had his sister and his mom there, and I think his grandmom as well.
yeah. It was like the big story, like his grandma that was
Mhm.
never able to watch his games live because of the time difference with the North America and the Czech Republic. This was like the first time his grandmother was able to watch him live, get
Yeah,
up for a game, and actually attend it.
yeah,
So that was a good like family moment there for Jake Voracek, and he was like the superstar right there for the Czech Republic because he's I would say right now, like maybe one of the top NHLers from the Czech Republic in history. Even
hmm
though you got players like Jaromír Jágr, Dominik Hasek, who was one of the guys that dropped the ceremonial first puck. Like those two are like national heroes for the Czech Republic right there,
hmm
playing in the NHL. And I like how they were talking on the broadcast too that Jake Voracek might become one of those guys. So that was like a nice little tidbit right there from the broadcast team. Nice little story there for Jake Voracek. And then got after the Michael Raffl goal, it's still Chicago like trying to push back, fight back to just get within the cut. The lead was already cut in half at this point, but try to get a spark in there, try to tie this game up. And they do pull the goalie with around, I would say, 3 minutes left in this game. And the Flyers are kind of holding back a little bit. And this allows space to open up for Patrick Kane, the one person you don't want to allow space to. And he
exactly.
sees this open and he takes a shot. It's a 4-3 Flyers lead. And you're thinking to yourself, oh God, here we go. Here we go.
I was like, here we go again, game one, and I'm already stressed.
Yep. And that was the main reaction on all Flyers fans' Twitters. Like, fly or die, and this is the most stressed I've ever felt so far right now. It's
Yeah,
game one.
I know. It's
It's
crazy.
it's game one. Can I not be stressed? But
And
it's
they gave him the worst possible second to get that shot off.
exactly.
If Provorov or whoever defended him, I think it was Provorov, if he closed in on him a little bit more, put a stick in the lane, wouldn't have got that shot off. And
Hmm.
another thing was the Gustafson pass that he made on it. If he had stopped that puck, Kane would have never scored that. The way he tipped it right to him, it was just like a follow through on the stick. That was a beautiful pass too, which that really set up that goal. And
Hmm.
that was just a beautiful shot by Kane because Hart had no clue where that was. He
Yeah.
had Shaw right in his face.
He had two people in front. I think he had Shaw and like another Flyer defender in front of him.
Did he?
I,
He might
I
have had
think
another
so.
Blackhawk in. Yeah, he had another Blackhawk in front too. So that was. I think he was more towards, where Hart was. Obviously, Hart was in net, and then Shaw was kind of in front of Hart, and then there was someone else that was near the right or the left post where Kane shot it for the Blackhawks, and then there was someone down low for the Flyers as well. I don't know who it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that was just a really good executed play by the Blackhawks, and I was like, "Oh my God, come on!"
And like I said, that it's Patrick Kane, the one guy you don't want to leave wide open on the ice. That
It's like,
just cashed it in for his third point on the night. He had a point on every single Blackhawk goal in this game.
mhm.
Originally, the Nylander goal was unassisted, but then they credited assist, I think, after the period or after the second for
Yeah,
an assist to Patrick Kane.
hmm
So, Patrick Kane, it's difficult to keep this guy off the score sheet, but 3 points. Come on, guys.
yeah,
Come
I
on.
know. It's crazy.
Come.
It's
But
just like leaving Ovechkin open, wide open on the power play,
hmm.
just like where DeBrincat's goal was. He was in Ovechkin's wheelhouse,
Yep.
and Sanheim just didn't even realize he was there. Another thing I wanted to bring up too, how you mentioned the unassisted thing that got changed to an assist. They were
Yes.
showing the top 10 point leaders from 2010, 2011, and first was
It was
uh,
Crosby, I
it
think.
was Crosby, and then it was Kane. They both had 710. Drew had 688, and then Ovechkin had 683. So they're all the top four of them. Drew, Crosby, Kane, and Ovechkin. They're all really close to each other, and I feel like all of them are definitely going to get probably over 750 this year.
Oh, definitely.
So, well,
Definitely.
Kane and Crosby are no doubt, but Drew and Ovechkin are definitely going to be up there. But all four of them could maybe win, maybe try to be the top 10 point leader in the last decade. And that just shows like how I feel like a lot of people kind of underestimate how good Claude Giroux is.
It's like, I love Claude Giroux so much, but it's just the fact that the Flyers fans un, under I would say underlook him just because of all the mediocrity surrounding the Flyers in his
Yeah,
tenure as the captain,
yeah,
the constant losing in the first round, not making the playoffs. The only stint that going to the finals was in 2010, and even though he did play a really big role in that, he was still like a very young player on that team. He didn't really develop into the player that he was until like around the 2012 season.
yeah. He was only like 3 or 4 years in the league at that time.
Yeah, it's just that so many years of being the captain and so little success, most people are going to look to you and saying you're basically a failure. But
Yeah.
Claude Giroux is proven to be a dominant player. He's a top 20 player in this league for a reason.
Oh, definitely.
And there's some Flyers fans who just won't accept that because they want to see results. And Claude Giroux sadly hasn't shown the result in the playoffs yet.
Yeah.
And
Well, really, the whole team hasn't.
yet, yeah,
I mean,
it's solely not on Claude Giroux.
they've had guys that like since the last time they made the playoffs. Well, sorry, not the last time they made the playoffs, but 2012 they had some secondary scoring in the playoffs. They couldn't really go far. 2014 they didn't have that secondary scoring. The majority of their goals in that series came from Wayne Simmons
Hmm.
and Jason Atkinson, who I think is now on the Rochester Americans, the Sabres AHL team. He was the one who scored in Game 7 of that series. The only one who could score in that game. He had another goal, I think, in Game
Game two.
2. You're right. It was Game 2. I remember Luke Shen scored in that game. In Game 3, they had Mark Streit scored. In
And
Game
Matt Reed.
4, and yeah, right. Game 4, it was, I think, Simmons and I think it was Shen.
No,
I don't remember off the top of my
no,
head,
game
but
four actually was Matt Reed. I think. Well,
oh,
I
was
think
it?
it was. I
Yeah.
think so.
hmm Yeah. Now, yep, you're right. They weren't getting as much secondary scoring in that series, and it was guys that were just like, oh wow, he scored. I mean, they had a goal in Game 6 from Eric Gustafson.
Yeah, it's not to be confused with the Eric Gustafson that's on the Chicago Blackhawks. Some
hmm
similar names, but no relation.
Yeah,
But it's just like going back to it's just everyone puts the blame on Claude Giroux when it's not entirely his fault.
it's not.
He hasn't had a team around him.
No.
That's the major
He's, I
problem.
mean, they've had stints of having guys playing good. Voracek in 14-15 with around 81 points.
Hmm.
He had 85 a couple years back. Giroux at 102, 85. He's had good seasons. It's just they haven't had the second and third line scoring, and
Hmm.
even fourth line scoring, which a Stanley Cup winning team and playoff team that goes far needs that.
You need
And
four lines that can produce.
right, it's just like the Capitals having Lars Eller and Devontae Smith-Pelly, Stevenson, Jacob Verana, all those guys that were able to go in, get goals, do do their role, play to their best ability, and score. I mean, Lars Eller, he had the game-winning goal in the
And the
Cup final
hmm
against Vegas.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
just
it wasn't just him; they all contributed. Same thing with St. Louis. They had guys throughout the whole line that were able to contribute.
yeah, it's just going back. Claude Giroux just even though he had guys like Jake Voracek, Wayne Simmons, like those type of players, he hasn't had support players on different lines that could put the puck in the net. And everyone puts the blame on Claude Giroux, thinking that he has to go out there and do literally everything himself, saying that he's not the leader, he's not a true leader. Well, one player doesn't make an entire hockey team.
Right,
I'm I'm sure if Sidney Crosby was playing on an entire team of nobodies, he wouldn't make the playoffs. Look at what Connor McDavid is doing right now with Edmonton.
right.
He can't carry that team to the playoffs with Leon Draisaitl.
No, because they
It's
don't have
just
secondary scoring.
yeah, it's just impossible to be a one man team in the NHL. It's literally impossible. You need an
It's
entire team.
right. Because no matter one, you can't have your first line out there the whole game. That's
Hmm.
impossible. Two, you have to play the other guys. And three, you're just going to get outworked if you don't have the guys that are going to be able to produce because they they're not going to be able to do anything this season if they do not have the second, third, even fourth line scoring. I mean, the fourth line isn't really a scoring line. It's kind of just like a grind, kind of like a grinder line.
Hmm.
Guys that throw in that big hit every once in a while. It's not. It's the only way the Flyers are going to be dominant this year is if they get that second and third line scoring, which they have. I mean, hopefully, if Nolan Patrick does come back, he can really set up that third line well with Van Riemsdyk, with maybe Carson Twarynski if he stays on that third line. I thought the second line was great today.
Hmm.
I know we said that before, which is another line that the Flyers really haven't had much success from the last few years. I mean, it's been okay, hasn't been that great. It's been the majority of the power play in the first line that's really helped them get their goals. So hopefully, if they can continue with the way they played today with the offense, all the lines were rolling, they should be just fine this season.
Yeah, it's funny. We went on this whole topic about Claude Giroux. We forgot to wrap up the damn game.
Oh,
So
yeah.
after the Patrick Kane goal, and we were talking about the Flyers looking like they were like on their heels, like stepping back a little bit. After this goal, they stepped up. They didn't stand back on their heels. They defended the Blackhawks well, got the pucks out of the zone. That's why you have players like Justin Braun, Matt Niskanen. These are veterans in this league. They know how when to defend at the right time. They know how to make these big plays, get the puck out of the zone. And the Flyers close out this game against the Chicago Blackhawks. It won it by a score of 4-3. And your three stars of the game are Michael Raffl, third star, Patrick Kane, second star, and Travis Konechny, first star. And just going to Travis Konechny, back to him a little bit. If scoring two goals tonight, he just looked dominating right now. And even though in his previous two seasons he scored 20 plus, but I still feel like there's more room for him to break out.
No, definitely. I mean, I think we've talked about this on previous episodes as well. Uh, I think I brought it up one time too. How many posts he hit last year
Mm-hmm.
and how many scoring chances he has. He's one of the best 5-on-5 scorers in the league. I mean, like he was phenomenal today. And if
Mm-hmm.
he can continue that, I mean, as of now, he's on pace for 164 goals this year. That'll never happen
Oh god, I
in
wish.
that will never happen in
In history.
yeah. That the only
That's going back to the
as
days of Gretzky and Lemieux.
right with like the 200 points a season, like that is insane. But like as I said, Konechny, really a good offensive player. I really liked what I saw from him today. He can definitely continue with the offensive streak, and I do think he can maybe put up 35, 40 goals this year.
I definitely agree. So, and after the three stars of the game, going back to the shots on goal, after all three periods, the shots total to 38 for Philadelphia and 31 for Chicago. Carter Hart stopped, I think it was, 28 out of 31,
Mhm.
finishes with a 908 save percentage after this game. Carter Hart made some pretty big stops. I'm sure he wants that Nylander goal back, but overall, I think Carter Hart played really well, kept us in this game. Thank God we have a goaltender that you can actually rely on and not be afraid of to man the horse in the net. It's like, just finally, it just feels good to have a good goaltender. Just say it right there. It feels
It's
good.
been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've, I'm 21 and I haven't seen a consistent goaltender for the Philadelphia Flyers at all. I think the
Yeah,
longest goaltender I've seen was either like Robert Esch or Steve Mason, and
maybe.
that's not good.
And that
That's not
and
good at
that's a
all.
lot that's a long shot because Mason was good but always gave up that soft goal.
Oh God.
That's just like Hextall too.
Yeah. I love Steve Mason, but yeah, he did do that.
He was he and it's kind of just like Michael Neuvirth as well. Like that wasn't a bad goalie tenure. It's just Neuvirth could never stay healthy, and Mason just either had really good games where he was like Vezina caliber goaltender like his rookie season, and then the next game he gave up like 6 goals.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just oh God, it's good to have a Carter Hart in net. Okay, it's just good. It's just really good.
I know.
So the Flyers win this game by a score of 4-2. And as soon as we get Flyers hockey back, we have to wait another damn 4 days because we got to go back home next Wednesday, have 4 days off, and the home opener against the New Jersey Devils and Jack Hughes next Wednesday, October 9th at 7:30. And then of course after that we go on a West Coast road trip. It's just like stay in one time zone,
Yeah,
please. Stay in one time zone
yeah.
would be nice.
See, I'm just happy that they get all these late night games out of the way. But then again, I'm just like, I want to watch the game. The season's starting. Just put it on at a normal time. I don't want to be up till like 1:30 in the morning watching the Flyers when I have school the next day. I'm like, oh my God,
Exactly.
it's
Ex-
horrible.
exactly. And wrapping up this game, really good game by the Flyers, and looking forward to the home opener next Wednesday against the New Jersey Devils and Jack Hughes. Look like it's going to be a really good game right there. But we're going to pause for a little bit, and when we come back, me and Chris are going to discuss our standings predictions for the NHL for the upcoming season. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm one of the hosts of Massive Late Fee. Do you remember Blockbuster? Well, we do, and we racked up a lot of late fees there. That's why we're glad there's things like Netflix, Hulu, and Blockbuster has died, mostly because of us. We cover streaming shows and pretty much whatever we want. Join us every Thursday as we talk TV and movies on Massive Late Fee. You can find us at Massive Late Fee on Twitter, Massive Late Fee on Facebook. You can email the show at massivelatefee@gmail.com, and you can find us at MySpace, Massive Late Fee. Massive Late Fee, the best podcast we can think of.
And welcome back to the Flyered Up podcast. And I forgot to mention when bringing up that damn Devils game, it's going to be Wayne Simmons' first game back in the Wells Fargo Center as a member of the opponent team. I don't understand how I forgot that. Do you know that, Chris? I don't understand how I forgot that.
I don't either.
And it's
That was
also
like the number one thing I thought about when I heard that they play the Devils in the home opener was like, oh, Simmons is coming back, and I like started like just like tearing up a little bit, like, oh no, like it's all right, yeah, let's go Flyers, and then I'm like in the corner just like crying, like, oh, I miss Simmons.
And it's funny too, like me and Chris discussed during the break what the Devils game that was tonight. They had a 4-0 lead, was it? And they blew
Mhm.
it.
Oh, and that goalie, that was Lauren Brossoit. That
It was
was not
Bressois.
Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah,
Brossoit was
I
in
knew
net.
I knew it wasn't
Yeah.
Hellebuck. I
And
knew it.
Blake Wheeler scored in the shootout. They had a 4-0 lead. Nikita Gusev got his first goal as a Devil. PK Subban played in his first game. It looked like a good start, and then they blew a 4-0 lead and lost in a shootout. And another thing was the Devils were absolutely atrocious last year in overtime, shootout, whatever. They were so bad.
And interesting bit. Are Devils fans already calling Jack Hughes a bust?
Uh, I think so. I Yeah, I believe so. Maybe.
Why?
I don't know. It's only the second game of the year.
Oh my God.
It's okay because they called Nolan Patrick a bust for no reason.
It's Devils fans. They're cocky for no reason.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
They're
they're like,
they're my
oh,
they're my least favorite fan base out of the entire NHL.
they're like, oh yeah, Marty Brewer.
Well, off of the topic of the Devils, let's get into what we're actually going to do in this second part of the podcast. Me and Chris are going to go over our standings predictions for the NHL going into this season. So, Chris, do you want to start first? Do you want me to go first?
Um,
Or do you want to go division by division?
yeah, let's go division by division. Why not?
Okay, so let's start with we'll start with one of the easier divisions. Let's go with the Pacific Division. So I'll go first, I guess. So let's go from last place to first place. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go eighth place will be the Los Angeles Kings.
hmm
Seventh place will be the Anaheim Ducks. Even though like I know people expected them to be a little bit better this year, I don't believe that one bit. So I put them in seventh place. Sixth place, I have the Edmonton Oilers just because they have no one surrounding Connor McDavid. And even though they have Mike Smith in it, I don't think that's enough help either.
Nah.
Fifth place, I have the Vancouver Canucks. I feel like they'll be better than last year, but just not at that good to get into the playoffs just yet. Fourth place, I have the Arizona Coyotes, and I have to make them a wild card spot. I think the Arizona Coyotes are actually going to make the playoffs this year. Hopefully, that's one good thing. We need something good in Arizona. Third place, I have the Calgary Flames. They're not going to repeat as the Pacific Division champions. Second place, I have the Vegas Golden Knights. In first place, I have the San Jose Sharks.
Okay, so my Pacific Division is literally the exact same, besides the first two. I have LA in eighth, Anaheim in seventh, Edmonton in sixth, Vancouver in fifth, Arizona in the fourth wild card, in fourth place in the wild card, Calgary in third. I have San Jose in second, and then Vegas in first.
So do we all have wild card teams coming from every division, or do we have one division that has two wild cards?
I have wild card teams coming from every division, so 4, 4, and 4.
Okay, so I have the same exact thing as you right there. So that's pretty interesting right there. Yeah, I just have that feeling this year in the NHL, there's not going to be that one division that holds two wild card teams.
No,
So
I
I
don't
feel like
either.
so I feel like there's like an even playing field in every division
Yeah,
now.
it's like all the top couple teams are really good, and then the other teams are just really bad, and then it's that's the same thing for every division. I mean, our division, like the Metropolitan, that was the hardest division.
Hmm. Yeah.
The Central was kind of easier. Or I'm sorry, the Pacific. The only thing that scares me about Arizona is their offense. If their offense holds up, then they should be fine. Uh, they have a good goaltender, Darcy Kemper. Their defense has been pretty good for the last few years. They just haven't really been able to put it together. Um, but yeah, I have all four wild cards make it in it for each division. So top four, top four, top four, and top four. So 16.
Yes. And I wanted to touch a bit on like Vegas. Like I was thinking of debating on putting Vegas in first place, but then I was thinking like I know how good their offense is, but I think their season really depends on Marc-Andre Fleury. He's not on the right side of 30. He's getting older as the days progress. And maybe I'm not saying he's going to regress this season, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to get them a first place spot in the Pacific. And I do think Martin Jones is going to rebound from his poor season last season in San Jose. So that's why I
Yeah,
have San Jose in first place over Vegas. That's my main reason. So
that's a
out
good
of the
pick.
Yeah, out of the Pacific Division, let's go to the Central. Let's wrap up the Western Conference. So I will start. I will go seventh place. I have the Minnesota Wild. I just think they're too old. They're not good enough. So last place for them. Sixth place, I have the Chicago White, not the White Sox. I was going to say the White Sox for some reason. I don't know why. We literally just played this damn team today, the Chicago Blackhawks. In fifth place, I have the Winnipeg Jets. Fourth place, I have the Dallas Stars making a wild card spot. Third place, I have the Nashville Predators. Second, I had the St. Louis Blues making the playoffs after winning the Stanley Cup last season. And in first place, I had the Colorado Avalanche.
Okay, so in seventh place, I have the Minnesota Wild. Sixth place, I got the Winnipeg Jets. Fifth, I have the Chicago Blackhawks. Fourth, Nashville. Third, Dallas. Second, St. Louis. And first, Colorado. The only reason I have Winnipeg that low is because I feel like Chicago has gotten better. Nashville, they're declining, kind of like Winnipeg, but like Winnipeg hit hard this offseason. Their offense is yeah. I think the only way that they can make the playoffs is if they have really good goaltending and offense that can keep them in games. Chicago, I think they gotten a little bit better since last season. Nashville, I know they are falling off from the top, but I know they're falling, but they're falling from the top. So it's like I don't see them
It's not
that
it's
low.
it's not a drastic fall.
No. St. Louis, again, them. I feel like them and Colorado are going to be neck and neck, and that's going to be fighting it out until maybe one of the last few games of the year. And Minnesota, they're just bad. They're just all out bad.
Yeah. It's I feel like for this division, the only team that's like desperately out of it is Minnesota. I have the top six teams. Like I think I'm not gonna say Colorado runs away with the division, but I
Mhm.
think they'll be good enough to hold it out. But I think like between fourth and sixth, it's gonna be an even playing field. I
Yeah,
feel like all four, five, and six teams are gonna be very close to each other. It's gonna be a very tight finish, with
yeah.
Minnesota rounding it out being very far away from making the playoffs at all.
Mm-mm.
So that wraps up our Western Conference standings. So let's go to the Eastern Conference. Let's go to the Atlantic Division. And Chris, you have the honors of doing the Atlantic Division first.
Okay, so in eighth place, I got the Ottawa Senators. Seventh, I got the Detroit Red Wings. Sixth, Buffalo. Fifth, Montreal. Fourth, Boston. Third, Florida. Second, Toronto. And first, Tampa Bay. This division is kind of easy. Florida, I feel like they got very better in the offseason. Finally got a goaltender. Haven't had that in a while. They did add some good defense and some solid depth into their lineup as well. So I think I have them in third. Boston, they didn't really do much. They kind of just stayed the same, but I have them dropping a little bit. Toronto, they got better in the offseason as well, getting Kadri, Tyson Berry. I think they have one of the best goalies in the league in Freddie Anderson as well. So I think Toronto is going to be up there. Tampa Bay, still an all-around great team. I know the finish for them was bad. Montreal, they are close, but not right there just yet. Buffalo, I don't see them doing anything. Detroit, they're good. Well, let me rephrase that. Detroit, they're okay. They have some good players, but they're not going to be anything special. And Ottawa, they're just bad as well.
It's I digress from you a little bit. Eighth place, I have Detroit. In seventh place, I have Ottawa. I don't know why. I just have this feeling Ottawa's not going to be shit bad. I just don't see it for some reason. It's
Yeah,
just, it's just a weird feeling that I have.
I can say it. I mean, I don't. It's really we can't. It's kind of hard to do these things too. It's really just all opinion. But then again, like Detroit has good players. They have at least some good players. Their defense is eh. I mean, they have like maybe a first and like maybe a quarter of a second line, if that. I mean, they don't. I mean, they got Dylan Larkin, Tyler Bertuzzi, Anthony Mantha, Anthony Ciu, and that's about it. I know they got Philip Sedina, Mort Cedar. They do got some good young prospects, Joe Valeno. So I think it's going to be a while before they start to get good again. But I don't really. I mean, they have good players. I know I've said that. Ottawa, they don't really have anyone anymore. It's Benajad, Carlson, Stone. They're all gone. I don't really see them doing anything.
Yeah, me neither. I just, for some reason, don't see them being dead last. But let me wrap up this Atlantic division. Sixth place, I have Buffalo. I feel like they're the same exact team as last year. They didn't improve. They didn't get worse. They're just there.
Mhm.
Fifth, I have Montreal. Same exact reason. They didn't improve at all. I feel like they're the same exact team. Maybe addition of like maybe this player, that player. They just don't feel changed to me at all. Florida, I have in fourth place in the wild card. I feel they did drastically improve. They finally got a goaltender to replace Roberto Luongo and James Reimer. Sergei Bobrovsky, that's a huge upgrade. But I think the top three teams are still better than Florida at this point. Three, I have Boston. Two, I have Toronto. And one, I have Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay, yes, they're the most stacked team in the NHL. They're most likely heavy President's Trophy favorites. And sorry, Tampa Bay fans, if you're winning the President's Trophy, that means you're cursed. I'm sorry. So you're either cursed to get swept in the first round by the Ottawa Senators or just, I don't know.
The Ottawa Senators, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, just I'm sorry, Tampa Bay fans, for all the misery that team is putting you through.
Yeah.
You do deserve a lot more, but it's that's the thing with the Flyers too. I don't want them winning the President's Trophy at all. Just like
No.
I just want get in the playoffs. Just
Yeah.
get in.
I'll take like I don't know. I don't see them being that high. I don't see them being extremely low, as some people have them in like eighth,
Hmm.
which you have to realize like they improved this offseason. And if you don't
Mhm.
realize that, you really don't know much about hockey. Because I mean I'm being honest. It's if you do not realize, I mean, I get it. You can't grade you people grade the offseason just on one signing, and that's the Kevin Hayes contract.
Hmm.
You can't do that. It's not wasn't just on the ice. They did everything behind the bench. They at least did a certain job. That they did at least a good job on cap space. I know it hasn't really worked out yet. Hopefully it does. I think they still had a good offseason. I don't really I just don't see the Flyers missing the playoffs this year. I just don't.
Yeah. And back to the Atlantic Division with Tampa win the President's Trophy. I just want to apologize once again to Tampa Bay fans. Just like, I'm sorry, you're cursed. You're cursed with that President's Trophy curse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So let's go to the Metropolitan Division. This is probably the most difficult division to predict in the entire NHL because it's literally a different standing every damn year.
Oh, I know.
It's never consistent. So, Chris, you're going to have the honors of predicting this unpredictable division.
Yeah. Before I get into mine, I just want to say it's the only thing that is the same about the Metropolitan is that Washington wins it about every year.
Yes.
That's the only thing that is really the same. Everything else is different. So in my Metropolitan Division, in eighth place, I got the Columbus Blue Jackets. In seventh, I got the New Jersey Devils. In sixth, I got Pittsburgh. Fifth, Carolina. Fourth, the Rangers. Third, the Flyers. Second, the Islanders, and I got the Capitals in first. Columbus, they really downgraded. They lost Bobrovsky. They lost Panarin. Their defense is still the same. They still have really good offensive players. But I just don't see them really doing anything. New Jersey, you can say they upgraded. You can say they just were eh. I feel like they did upgrade, just not to that point. They don't have any really offensive depth. They don't have much defensive depth either, and they really don't have a goaltender. Pittsburgh, I feel like they're just falling off the top of the chain too. Crosby, Balkan, they're all getting older. They have some younger players. Carolina, I mean, Carolina, they're a good team. I just don't see them really doing it. They didn't do much in the offseason either. They did bring in Ryan DeZinkel. They did bring in Jake Gardner as well, but I don't really see them doing much. I feel like them and the Rangers can be a really like a fight for that last wild card spot in the Metro in maybe the last few games of the season. I got the Rangers making the playoffs. The Flyers, I've said this before, I don't see the Flyers missing the playoffs this year. The Islanders, I think they can have a kind of the same year as last year. The one thing that powers the Islanders is the coach. And the Capitals, as I said, they always win the division. I don't see anyone else beating them to get first place this year in the Metropolitan.
I agree with you with the Washington Capitals right there. I don't agree with you with the Pittsburgh Penguins missing the playoffs though. So I have the Devils in eighth place. I believe that even though they had some upgrades with the Subban and the Wayne Simmons, I still don't feel like their goaltending is still very suspect. So I don't see them being that good in the division. So I have them in eighth. Columbus, like the reasons you said, they still have a very good defensive core, very good offensive pieces. Same thing, their goaltending is very suspect, which I have them in seventh place. Rangers, I have them being competitive with the Trouba signing, the Panarin signing, and they still have Hendrik Lundqvist in net. And they still have a good core of young players around them, and they still have guys also like Mika Zibanejad. So I still feel like the Rangers are going to be a little bit competitive, a little bit better, but just not playoff bound. And Carolina, I had them as one of the playoff teams falling out just because no particular reason, but I just have that feeling they're not going to make it after like the run that they had last playoff, so I have them missing. Fourth place, I have Pittsburgh making the wild card spot. Like I do agree with what you said. The Pittsburgh looks like they're starting to fall off, but I still feel like when you have guys like Malkin and Crosby, and you still have a guy like Matt Murray in net, even though Matt Murray's not this elite caliber goaltender, he's still a good goaltender. But I still see them making the playoffs. But I do agree with you; they are in a a steady decline, a steady digress, as some would say.
Yeah,
But
I definitely think I could agree with you there.
yeah, but when you still have guys like Malkin and Crosby still in their early 30s, they're still a major threat in the division, no
Mhm.
matter what.
And
And
Pittsburgh still has some good players too. I mean, they got Jake Gensel,
yeah, they do.
Brian Rust. I mean, they did bring in Alex Galchenyuk. They do not have Phil Kessel anymore. So uh, I do agree with you. I just don't really see them making the playoffs. I just think some teams in the division got better. I don't really think Pittsburgh was one of them. That's all.
That's understandable. In third place, I have the Islanders making the playoffs it was the debate whether to have Carolina in this spot or the Islanders, but I feel like Barry Trotz is just the overall better coach than Rod Brindamore, and I feel like his system, just Barry Trotz's system, really worked with the Islanders last season. So I do feel like it's going to work for them once again, even though they don't have the magic that was Robin Lehner last year. Now they have, was it Varlamov now?
Yeah,
And Tom,
Varlamov and Thomas Grace.
yes, so they have that tandem now. So who knows what that's going to shape out into? But I still feel like they'll be good enough to at least make the third seed in the Metro. Second place, a little optimistic right here, but I do have the Philadelphia Flyers. I do agree the Flyers really got better. But with this team, I am taking it one day at a time because I'm not going to be overly optimistic because that will lead me to be really disappointed. And I don't want to be really disappointed, so I'm going to take sorry right there. I'm going to take it one day at a time with this team. And the same thing with you with first place, Washington Capitals, just because they win a division every damn year. And I do feel like with the Capitals, this is their last year with this core to do something, I feel. Because you got guys like Holtby on the end of his contract. I think Backstrom's on the end of his contract. There could
Ovechkin's in 2 years.
Ovechkin in 2 years. I feel like there's a possible chance that Holtby might leave, even though both him and Backstrom are talking about contract extensions right now. Who knows what is going to happen? I think the Capitals are tight with the cap, so it might be hard to get both of those guys signed. So I feel like this is the last season for Washington to make a run at the Cup. So overall, those are our standings for both me and Chris. And most of these standings are not going to be right. It'll be a sign of God if we somehow get every single prediction right.
I think the only one that I'll have right is going to be Tampa in first, and that's it.
Yeah, probably in Washington.
Yeah, that's probably, and yeah, that's probably about it. And maybe Columbus we both had LA in eighth.
Yeah.
So I think LA's not doing anything this year. So the Tampa, Washington, and LA are maybe of 3 of the 31 that we get right.
Who knows? Maybe Seattle comes out of nowhere and just wins everything, even though they don't even have a team yet.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But that wraps it up for our NHL season predictions. We're not going to get into who wins these awards and whatnot, who wins the Stanley Cup, because that's just too much for too early right now. I am definitely not predicting a Stanley Cup champion because too early.
Yeah,
It's too early for that.
we're 2 games into the season. Not even. I don't even think every team has played 2 games yet. So
Yeah. Stanley Cup champion prediction doesn't come until around the All-Star break, I feel.
I wouldn't even say that. I would say like maybe March.
Who knows? But without further ado, we're getting up into near the end of the time right now. End of our NHL season predictions. The Philadelphia Flyers won their game today against the Chicago Blackhawks. Really good game overall. Really like the way the team looked. But now we gotta wait 4 or 5 more days until we play our next game, which is next Wednesday, October 9th, when Wayne Simmons returns with the New Jersey Devils and Jack Hughes to take on our Philadelphia Flyers at 7:30 for the home opener. And that's going to be a very fun night right there. And Chris, what are you looking forward to the most out of that game?
I'm excited for the home crowd. That's going to be real nice atmosphere. The new renovations at Wells Fargo. Everyone's going to be seeing them in their glory at the home opener. I think just the way the team played today, they can continue that into the home opener. They should be just fine. They should be able to beat the Devils. You got Simmons returning. You got PK Subban. Philly fans love him. They always boo him every time he touches the puck. That'll be fun to watch. So I'm really excited for the home opener this year. Kind of hoping it doesn't end like last year's, but I'm very excited for the home opener.
I agree with you 100%. So without further ado, that'll do it for the 5th episode of the Fired Up Podcast. We will tune you in after the Flyers game on Wednesday against New Jersey Devils. So stay tuned with us on social media at Fired Up Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And don't forget to follow us up on iTunes, on Spotify, and on our separate YouTube channels for the latest episodes of each podcast. So to wrap it up, I'm Amadeo Gracia. He's Chris Mayer. See you guys in the next episode.